guys, it's Amanda, also known as Amateur Aries. I am schizoaffective with schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder, and I most often get questioned on how people can cope with people who have episodes that come from schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder. So I decided to divide this up into 3 videos, possibly more in the future for borderline, on how to cope with these particular episodes. I do have notes, so if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm making sure I don't go off topic and that I am saying what I need to say because it is an important topic to be talking about. So, hear that. There are 2 websites I actually got this information from because I am the person with these disorders and really don't know how to handle my disorders because I can't be giving him the advice during an episode because I'm going through an episode. This, by the way, is my husband. He is also my caretaker. His name is Zachary. He's here because he might be able to put some input on how to handle these situations. Now, this one, as you can see in the description or title, is about hallucinations. Hallucinations are both auditory or visual. So, hearing voices, smelling things are not there, seeing things are not there, tasting things are not there, things that are not there or present that only you as a schizophrenic or other disorders may be experiencing.
Basically anything that messes with your 5 senses.
Yes. A few disorders, I'm going to read this off so I don't mess any of these up, may cause this symptom. It's not just schizophrenia. Include schizophrenia, physical problems such as kidney, bladder infections, dehydration, alcohol, and drug abuse. Medications can cause hallucinations. Alzheimer's, dementia, psychotic episodes, PTSD, fever, psychotic depression, and OCD are just some things that can cause hallucinations, auditory or visual. So I thought it was very important that I say this. Hallucinations can also last weeks or even months. So if someone's going through an episode, it could last for a long time. For me, my visual hallucinations are very quick, but they're getting more detailed and they're coming more often. Now, I get a lot of people saying to me that I am not schizophrenic because I am not constantly going through it. There are a lot milder cases that just grow and get worse with age and stress, and I am one of those cases. So, these are, for this particular one, is about 12 things that you can do as a caretaker, family member, or friend in a situation with someone who's going through these episodes. Number 1, be cautious. So basically, look at the situation, see if it's a hallucination, and if it's a problem for you or the person. So whether or not they're afraid, it might become dangerous to you or someone else. When they're seeing that hallucination, they think that hallucination is real. It could be as something as tiny as a little mini elf or dwarf on the ground. They think that's real. It's real to them. You might not see it, but they do. So you gotta ask, you gotta figure the situation out. Like, if they're seeing something, is it safe for us for what they're seeing? Are they gonna become dangerous to me? Are they gonna become dangerous to themselves, or etc.?
Give you a quick example. Who was it, Ted Bundy? Who died? Who was...
Ted Bundy did die.
Well, I mean...
Marilyn Manson. Charles Manson.
Charles Manson. When he died, it was like my wife had a delusion that Charles Manson's ghost was coming after her. One thing you don't do when it comes to an illusion or delusion like that, you don't laugh at it. It's real to them, and it's insultive and also very, very lighthearted because it was very real for her. And when she first told me that, I laughed. It was like... Definitely made an episode worse for her than she actually deserved to be in.
That also that brings mistrust to you. You want a person who's going through this to trust you, so you can pull them out of it safely. So number 2, do not argue with the person about what he or she sees. Like I basically said in the last one, if they're seeing something, it's real to them. You go and tell them that it's not real to them. 1, they're not gonna believe you. 2, that can make them manic in some way, have a mood swing, or they just might not trust you, and that's a family friend you don't want to miss out on trusting.
Yeah, trust is a big issue, because if they don't think that you're going to take them seriously when they tell you something, they'll never tell you anything, and they won't get the help they need.
That's what happened with me with my family. My family, when I first told them I was hearing voices, they told me I was lying about it. So I kept all of my episodes to myself. Whenever I had an episode, I hid away in my bedroom or my closet and just let it go through me until it was over. I had to battle it a lot of times when that happened. I had to basically lock myself away because no one would have done anything about it. You know, they wouldn't have had assess the situation appropriately. Number 3, approach the person slowly. So when they're going through an episode, you don't want to rush at them, you don't want to yell at them, you don't want to scream at them, you want to go to them slowly, pat them on the shoulder to see if you can get their attention or call out their name softly. So then you're kind of getting through their head and they can look at you and you can kind of pull them away from that situation.
Yeah, basically bring them back to reality in a slow stepping pace, because when someone is in a delusion like that, you could easily make them more manic, trying to get him out of it. Just like when you tell them that isn't there, it's okay, everything's fine. Nothing is fine right now. It's there still. It's like it's not okay, and it can make things worse. It's literally what we just told you in the previous one, just a little bit more defined.
Yeah, I mean, even if you tell them it's not there, it's not gonna it's gonna disappear for them. It's still gonna, the disorder's not gonna turn off just because you say so.
Yeah, it's there right now. It's still there. It's going to be there until it shuts off.
Acknowledge the feelings behind it. When you see us expressing an emotion, if you can't figure out what it is, it might be fear, it might be confusion, it might be anger, it might be sadness, it might be something, but you have to figure out those feelings, and if you can't ask them as nicely as possible without potentially putting their attack up. Like I wrote down, it sounds as if you're worried, or it sounds like it's frightening you. Are you angry? Is this confusing you at the moment? What can I do to help the situation? But you have to be very gentle, because when they're going through this, it's like a psychosis. They're not exactly themselves. They're like on the defense. It's like all of a sudden you're in front of a lion that's about to attack you in real life. You're not going to be like, oh, stay calm. You're going to be like, oh my god, it's coming after me.
Yeah, basically you want to be their wall. Whatever they're seeing or hearing, they need to be able to
feel comfortable,
rely on you, basically guard them. You want to be their guard, their defense.
Ask them what's going on. What are they seeing? What are they afraid of? Why are they confused by it, etc.? If they are, remind them that you are there for them and you are there to protect them and take care of them. By the way, I got a lot of these off of an Alzheimer's website, by the way, but this does really help with people with schizophrenia, because whenever he does this stuff, when I have episodes, it helps me out of the episodes. So I felt like these are needed in these these coping mechanisms.
And it all comes down to when someone gets kind of not chaotic, but catatonic, so they can revert back to a childlike state, and you need to treat them. I don't want to say necessarily like a child, but you need to.
You need to be the responsible one.
Yeah, you need to be gentle. You need to approach properly, just like you would with a kid. Is like they don't understand what is happening or what's going on. All that they need to know is that you are protecting them.
I mean, I will admit, when I do these videos, it looks like I'm all fine and dandy, that I'm completely sane and go on with life all normal. Most times he has to make sure I'm in the shower. He has to check up on me in the shower to make sure I didn't go catatonic or go to a different phase in my episode. He has to, sometimes at night, I'll start getting dissociated and not be able to use my brain properly. He has to dress me. He'll have to make sure I'm eating and drinking, because sometimes I'll forget these things. I'll be having the worst stomach ache in the world from how hungry I am, and I'll just forget about it, and he has to be like, okay, I can hear your stomach rumbling, let me get you some food.
Yeah, she'll forget to eat more often than not, and I'll have to constantly ask her, when was the last time you ate today? 90% of the time it's like, I don't know. It's her answer, because she doesn't pay attention to stuff like that. She doesn't pay attention to the stuff she needs for her body to be healthy.
Number 6, tell them calmly that you don't see or hear what they do. But do not argue with them about it. They don't understand or believe you fully when you say it, because in the state they think it's really happening. They think it's really happening. So don't argue about it, because they might not believe you either way. And then you're literally making them put up a wall against you and might become afraid of you as well as what they're seeing. So you gotta, like I said, you gotta instill trust in them, especially during an episode, because you might be the only thing that can get them out of that episode, because it could take months otherwise. I get worse when I'm seeing things. Like, I flip out when I see things, but like I said, usually for a brief moment. But then he sees it, he's like, okay, what just happened?
Yeah. Most times, it's such a flash, she doesn't bring them up when they do happen a lot. It all depends on what she sees and how gruesome it is. She's one of the people that doesn't see, small little cute things or small little things that would be like, okay, it's like, that's okay. She sees horrible, graphic, gruesome scenes. And I'm not going to get descriptive about that. It's just what she sees is enough to make anybody question their life and holy crap. That's what's gonna happen.
This one is actually very important in my book because I know it helps me the most. Use distractions. Suggest a walk or leave the room, go outside, and usually frightening hallucinations, which is like a majority of mine, go away easier in well-lit areas, so like outside when it's bright outside, or in a bright room, not like extremely bright, because I get irritated when I'm in a really bright situation. Light kind of casts the shadows away enough so they don't intertwine with the hallucination.
Basically with her, is like distractions is the biggest thing. Light, not too much, because the lighting doesn't really matter. We actually kind of prefer dim lighting in our room because she doesn't get hallucinations too much around shadowing as much as it's just random. Like there is no specific trigger that causes an hallucination. It's like she'll blink, it'll be there, and she'll blink again and it's gone. So it's unpredictable. We don't know what happens. If there is a trigger, if there is, we haven't seen any kind of like pattern to be able to assess that.
To my episodes, at least yet.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to your borderline episodes.
That's different. Let's not even talk about those. This is about schizophrenia.
Yeah,
right now.
but your schizophrenia is like there isn't a pattern to what causes her hallucinations to occur. So, what we do with her distractions is she's on her computer, she's playing a game and watching TV at the same time.
Yeah, we have 2 TVs in our bedroom.
Yeah, we have 2 TVs, and one's mine, one's hers. But between that, she's not watching TV and then watching YouTube and then working on her videos or even writing on her book at the same time and studying for her next thing. She's usually doing 4 to 5 things at once.
Yeah, I have to It's the way I helped myself when I was by myself and taking care of myself. Multiple tasking was the only thing that really helped me throughout the situation. 8. Suggest the person tell the voices to go away. Now this is the one I'm very on fence about, but I cannot say when it work for other people. When people tell me to stop listening to the voices or to tell them to shut up or to go away, I've tried that, and when you ask me to do that, I'm like, bitch, I already tried that. It's not working. I mean, I'm not trying to sound that way when I'm saying it, but that's the way I immediately feel it. It's like instant borderline episode for me. And I just get aggressive after that. So I personally don't like when he tells me to say that stuff. But I know some people can handle that situation, being told to do that. So I'm on the fence about it, but some people might be able to handle you saying, hey, have you tried it? But like we said earlier, with a couple of the suggestions before, is say it in a nicer way. Like if almost like your question, like, have you tried telling them? Like, so they don't get like, well, what do you think?
Yeah. Every person who has these type of episodes are going to have a peeve that's going to make it worse. So you need to recognize what that's going to be. Otherwise, you're going to guarantee a worse episode, and it's going to be even harder and take more time. In patience, again, patience is the biggest thing. Okay. You have to be patient.
The 9th one is just more distractions. I wrote down like activities such as listening to music, conversation, games, televisions, basically stuff I've already brought up. I noticed yesterday when I was trying to have an episode that when we started playing games with other people around the area, it helped me a little bit better because like there was more positivity and I was around people I felt safe and comfortable and protected by. So I think that kind of helps. However, some people with these psychoses and episodes tend to go away from people. Like a lot of times when I'm having episodes, I actually try to get away from people. I try to run away. So your best bet is to only bring them around people that they're comfortable with and slowly bring more people around. Don't like rush them into like a Christmas party or something like that.
Anything positive, anything that can make them laugh is what you want.
Yeah, they always say put like something comedy or romantic on instead of horror because it could make that hallucination worse.
Yeah.
I am the opposite. I prefer having horror on when I'm having hallucinations.
It scares me.
Number 10. Check for sounds or shadows that might be misinterpreted as a hallucination, such as the TV humming in the background or slight music playing from an iPod that has been unplugged but still playing somehow.
Yeah.
ACs or the light. There's a weird shape from
the shadow
that is normally not there. Look for something that could possibly be the opposite of what's happening that you could just easily get rid of.
Give an explanation to what they are hearing or seeing.
Just at the same time, don't make yourself look like you're looking for some reason to not believe them, though. Do this when you're looking that way, just, glance around real quick, because if they're seeing you do that, what are you looking for? They're gonna get defensive, I'm just looking for another reason why you're experienced. They might, why don't you trust me then? You gotta do it slyly, almost, in my opinion, because if I saw him, looking around, I'd be like, what's going, why are you looking around? Are you seeing it too? He'll be like, no, I'm just looking for what it could be. I'm like, do you not believe me? I mean, it's right here.
I'll give you a good example of what happened. I think it was 2 weeks ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that. We were both sitting here. Her TV wasn't muted. It wasn't off, but there was still sound coming from it. And we heard it. It was from the game.
Warframe?
Yeah. Warframe, when you had it really lowered down but your headset wasn't connected.
I know for sure that was a voice in my head.
Okay, and it's but
still
okay, it's not that I disbelieve her at all. It's because I could still hear parts of Warframe. She heard a voice, that's understandable. She heard it. It's there. I just said well, maybe it's I offered the suggestion that maybe it was this. It obviously didn't work because it was a voice in her head. It's it's not questionable.
It wasn't how I described. Let me just describe the episode. The TV was on. It was on low, but I heard the voice by the window instead of by the TV directly, and it said Seinfeld. Warframe doesn't say Seinfeld.
Okay. Again.
And it was a strict male voice, and that's all it said. It was Seinfeld, and it stopped. I was like.
Okay, so again, that's something that she heard. I do not disbelieve her.
I don't like Seinfeld. Number 11, do not hurry the person out of an episode. As I mentioned in the beginning, episodes can last weeks, it can last hours, it can last minutes, it can last seconds, it can last months. I can understand why a caretaker, family member, or friend could be very impatient about that. I give props to anyone who has to take care of someone, especially like me. Number 12. These next notes are given to nurses, by the way, but I'll find them useful for anyone who is willing to help those like me. I think they should go to anyone who's taking care of someone's close to them, like I said, family members, friends, caretakers, husbands, wives. Develop a relationship based on empathy and trust, and I cannot exaggerate that enough. When they're experiencing these things, they need to be able to feel comfortable with you. The good way to do that is by you showing sympathy or empathy. And we might not be asking for that, but it's always nice to receive when we're going through an episode. Because when you're starting to sympathize and empathize with us during the situation, we feel like there's connection suddenly between you and I. And I feel like I can talk to you about what's going on. I feel like I can lean towards you when it's coming at me, and you can protect me at that situation. And that's extremely important, because if not, we could run off and disappear somewhere. I mean that literally. There's been cases where people with schizophrenia or bipolar have literally just ran off, and a couple days later they were stumbling around, not remembering anything that's happened, and they were just found by the police because they don't remember what happened. A lot of times when I get out of certain episodes, I don't remember exactly what happened either. So you have to be careful with how you approach those people. I can't not express that enough, how careful you have to be. To promote understanding, learn effective coping mechanisms to anxiety, stress, and other emotions that can be triggered by these hallucinations. I do get stressed when I see hallucinations. I'm on my guard suddenly, and that can make me become irritated easier. This is actually really important. If you're a caretaker or a family member who's dedicated to the person who has these issues, make sure they are taking their medication on time. Make sure they're taking it, period. If you have to make sure they swallow it, do it. A lot of times with people like us, we have this weird thing where after a while we think we're healed, and then we don't need to take medication anymore. That is the worst thing we can do. Once we're off the medication, those episodes come back tenfold for some reason. It's like we were holding them behind somewhere, and we just let the dogs leash. And it's terrible. So you need to make sure they're always on their medication. And if the medication is not working, you need to get them back to the psychiatrist and get it upped or change the medication. But you always got to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, people who are going to see the psychiatrist to get the proper medication for their spouse, the individual they are taking care of,
It's going to be a cocktail. There's never one solution to fix something. There is a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and testing. You're going to switch your medication so many times to find out. There's actually even a genetic test that you can do to find out which pharmaceuticals would actually be good and bad. And it goes from a color. It's like anything from red, you absolutely do not take, period. There's no question to it. Your psychiatrist will have access to these documents, and so will your doctor. That you will not even be told about these prescriptions because they will not be compatible with you no matter what.
The other things you can do to help them is a lot of times when we're in those episodes, we go through psychosis, which makes it difficult for us to take care of ourselves. So you need to help them with diet, exercise, and keep them away from anything that can be addictive other than their medications. Unless their medications is making addiction, that's another concern. You should probably get that changed too. Keep them away from smoking. Keep them away from drinking too much or drinking period, depending on the type of medications you're on. Keep them away from other drugs that are bad.
All drugs.
Yeah. Well, some people say weed helps them, but you need to make sure they're eating healthy, and exercise is also very important because although the medications are playing their part, you have to help in the other parts. The medications can help a little bit, but you need to be doing cardio occasionally, because it'll help with the serotonin and the other stuff.
Physically working out helps the chemical balances in your brain and your body to be a little bit more balanced, and also helps detoxify anything that's in your body. It'll make them feel physically better about what they're doing, about themselves, etc., etc. It's all about emotion that they're feeling. So if they're positive about their life choices and their life situation, it's going to help them exponentially.
These are 2 things I wrote down that you should not do, period. Do not respond to hallucinations as if you can see them, or argue or yell with the voices or the items that they're seeing. If you're seeing something, obviously they're not having hallucinations, something's actually there. But if you respond that way, that can escalate the hallucination to last longer and confirm the beliefs that that is there. And when you argue with them, the voices will only probably argue back more and make that person feel suicidal in the sense afterwards. Because my voices have always been extremely aggressive. They've always shut me down. They always made points that made things worse. It was just really terrible things. There has always been one voice that's whispered in the back of my head to say whenever he's doing something wrong, and it got accurate. But you can't trust any of the voices.
Yeah.
And lastly, do not deny the person's experiences. Like we said throughout this entire video, they're seeing what they see, and that's real to them. If you go and deny it, say, no, that's not there, what are you talking about, you're crazy, it takes away the trust. That makes them feel crazy. That can make them run away. That can make them feel like they're losing their mind, and that's always scary by itself.
That will guarantee you lose them.
Yeah.
You need to, again, be patient and believe what they're saying, period.
Alright, so that is it for this video. I given you all that I was able to find for the last few days. I hope this has helped. I hope this will help you guys who are learning how to cope with these situations, or those who are watching who have these issues, how you can try to kind of better explain it to them while you're, okay to explain it to them. Don't use these to manipulate people around you, though. He goes through a lot of things. Caretakers, family members, and friends are all going through this with you, and they're handling it, and it's very difficult for them too. It alters their confidence. Him going to see me go through it could completely crash him. He can't do anything to protect me from those things. He can try, but I'm still gonna see it. I'm still gonna have episodes, and that might diminish the way he feels as a man and a husband. With a family member, it's the same thing. They can't protect you from it forever unless you go to a psychiatrist and take care of yourself. So try not to bash them if they're doing things wrong. They still have to learn to handle you properly. You can't even handle yourself, so honestly you can't be angry at them completely all the time. So appreciate the people who are there and who are trying to fight for you as well.
Yeah, and do not judge a single person who is a caretaker, because the thing is about being a caretaker, you do not live a normal life. You cannot be out doing things and then not respond like you need to be there. As a caretaker, they have responsibilities that you would question, be like, well, that's weird. It is like, it's not. It is like, and you will come to understand that. So please understand, it's like us as caretakers, we sacrifice a lot.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're about to make another one about delusions and psychosis. In the future, we'll be making a paranoia one and borderline related ones as well, which is a very heavy topic because borderline is very difficult to handle. Like, in my opinion, it's worse than Schizophrenia when it comes to handling the episodes.
Yeah.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed.